Hello, everyone. My name is Gabriel, and tonight I will be sharing some ghost stories as I do some here on my girlfriend here, Tiffany. Say hi, Tiffany. We're going to be doing some layers on her while I tell you about my first experience with the paranormal. When I was 16, I used to live in Venezuela. Right now, I live in Canada. So, when I was living in Venezuela, I was living with my niece, who was 2 years younger than me. She was 14. And we were living with her father. Her father was here and there, like rarely ever there. Sometimes he would disappear for months. So it was mostly just her and I living in that apartment by ourselves. When we were doing that, we were both at school. So one day after school, I came home around 3. And when I did that, I opened the door. I was listening to my headphones. I was listening to some music, and I wasn't really paying attention. So I opened the door, and I look up, and at the end of the long hallway, where the bathroom door was open, and there was a man standing in that door frame. I know because the sunshine was shining through the window of the bathroom, illuminating all the bathroom and making his shadow stand out even more. It was very well defined. He was very tall, almost reaching with his head the top of the door frame. And I freaked out. So I went to the kitchen, which was right next to the front door. I picked up a knife and I was like, "Who's there? Show yourself." And there was nobody. When I went back, there was nobody. So I ran into the bathroom and checked it. There's nobody there. Went into my bedroom next door. Nobody there. Went into my niece's bedroom next to mine. Nobody there. Went into the master bedroom where her dad normally slept. Nobody there. Checked the living room, the laundry room, checked the entire apartment. There was nobody there but me. But I'm pretty sure of what I saw. I saw them clear as day. It was 3 p.m. Pretty bright in Venezuela at the time, in Caracas. So I got pretty spooked and I grabbed my stuff and I left. And I went to meet with my neighbor because, as I said before, it was pretty scary. It was pretty scary. I didn't know what I had seen. I didn't know how to explain it. I don't remember if I told my neighbor about it because I didn't think anybody was going to believe me, but I did remember that I did kind of like told myself, I'm going to tell my niece when she gets home. So I believe I did, but I can't remember for a fact if I actually did. So don't quote me on that. um, then after that, a few weeks later, I remember that I was sleeping and it was like around midnight or maybe later. It was pretty late. It was very late. And I remember that because um, I was fast asleep and it was a school day. So we were not supposed to be awake at that time. At that moment, I opened the door and my niece is standing there and she looks freaked out of her mind. I didn't know what was going on, obviously. So I go like, "What's wrong?" She goes, "There was a man in my room." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "This dude, this man in the room, was standing by the door when I opened my eyes. And then he walked to the bed, which is only like 1, 2 steps, sat on my bed, and I could feel his whole body weight on it. I even went like a little bit sideways because of his body weight. And then he put a hand on my leg and started caressing my leg. So I jumped off the bed and I don't know how I got to the door, opened it, left, and here I am. Please let me in, please let me in, please let me in. She said that like in 2 seconds. She literally rapped it to me. It was super fast. And I let her in and we kind of processed what happened a little bit, like in a few minutes. And then I go like, "We need to go check your room." So we go and we check her room. There's nobody there. Then after that, I go, "We need to check the house." So we go together and we check the entire house. There was nobody there. This kept happening every other night where she would just bang on my door, completely freaked out of her mind, saying there was a person in her room who would like get on her bed and start touching her. So she was sleeping with me most of those nights, and it was freaking me out because I knew what I had seen by the door, and I assumed it was the same man. But nobody was going to believe anything we said if we said there was a ghost in our house or that we're being haunted by the shadow of a man. People were they were just gonna think we were crazy. So we didn't say anything. Neither of us was religious. So I mean, not to offend anybody, but we were teenagers. This was kind of dumb. But we ran out of rolling papers. We were smoking weed, and we smoked the Bible, like pages of the Bible. Not proud, but we did that. So I don't know if that was an explanation for it, but the thing is, it got really, really, really creepy. After 2 weeks of that guy tormenting my niece, I didn't want to tell her that in my bedroom, when I was sleeping sometimes alone, I could feel from under the mattress these like hands kind of like pushing up the mattress. And the whole experience there was just insane. But I knew I didn't want to freak her out, so I didn't tell her about that. So we had a man visiting us from time to time. We had the hands on the mattress, and we had all these weird things going on. One day, she had to leave to go on a vacation with her mom. So she leaves, and I'm like, I'm supposed to stay alone in the apartment for like a week. And I was low-key freaking out. But I figured I was going to invite some friends over or whatever. And at that moment, I get a call from my niece's father, and he says, hey, I'm going to be coming over. I'm going to be staying with like a friend, and I'm going to be bringing that friend's sister. It was his girlfriend. So he brought his girlfriend and the girlfriend's sister. The sister was supposed to be around my age. I say was supposed to, but she was around my age. So we started talking. We became friends pretty quickly because, gays and gals, we get along pretty well. So we're talking. She was supposed to sleep in my niece's bedroom. So at that moment, she says, let's go to the bedroom. Let's hang out there. And I'm like, sure. Okay, let's do that. So as we're doing that, we're like, laughing, giggling, talking about all kinds of stuff. I suggest that we see some ghost videos on YouTube because, masochist over here. So we're doing that. We're getting pretty spooked. And that's when she goes, okay, you know what? I'm tired and I would like to go to sleep. And I'm like, sure. Yeah, we can do that. We can definitely do that. So that's what we decided to do. And she's supposed to sleep in my niece's bedroom and in her bed, and I'm supposed to sleep in my bedroom. But she goes like, hey, I'm pretty scared. When she just like sleep here, put like a sleeping bag or something next to the bed, and that way I'll feel safe. And I'm like, sure, that makes total sense. So we go and we do that, right? So as I'm falling asleep, I put my headphones on just to kind of like drown out the outside and be able to fall asleep better. And as I'm basically almost at the door falling asleep, I feel somebody just move in the room, and that's when I see her jump off the bed and turn on the light. And then she goes like, she's like doing this, and I'm like, obviously she's like talking or yelling at me. So I take my headphones off, and they're like, what? I can't hear you. She goes like, you were just sitting on my bed touching my leg. And I'm like, no, I wasn't. And she goes like, but somebody was in the bed touching my leg. And I'm like, which side? She goes like, this side. And I'm like, well, I'm on the other side, so it's impossible. You would have seen me like go around. Also, I'm gay, girl. Like I'm not about that type. So I'm not about that life. So she kind of like that kind of like sinks in, and she's like, but there was a man. He sat on the bed and he started touching my leg, and I go, well, I don't want to freak you out or anything, but my niece has been saying the same thing as you for the last 2 weeks. There's a man that comes here and like sits on her bed and starts touching her leg. She was freaked out, and I was freaked out too. Like, we didn't know what was happening, and we decided to just go to my bedroom. We're like, screw this. uh, we're not gonna be sleeping here tonight. So we go to sleep in my bedroom, and the next day, nothing happens. And the next day, she leaves with her sister, and that's that. A few days later, my niece arrives home from her vacation, and I tell her, what happened. And she goes, see, I told you there's a guy that comes here and sits on the bed and starts kind of like, touching your leg. I was just stunned. So I was like, okay, well, it's been confirmed. This girl has no idea. Like, she's never met you. So she has no reason to actually know this. I didn't tell her anything. So it's not like she knew from me. So how was she able to, she obviously experienced that. And because she experienced that, we know that's the case. So we have now a guy that sits on the bed, a guy that I've seen in the bathroom, and to top it all off, a few days later, in the house by myself after school, and I hear the clicker in the bathroom next door start going on and off, like click, 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 click. And I'm like, I turn off the music. I can hear it clearly going click, 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 click. So I lean back to kind of like get a view of the bathroom, which the door was open so I could see inside. The light was going on and off, and I could see the clicker switch on and off, on and off, on and off, but there was nobody there. So I get up and I go into the bathroom, and there's nobody there, and I just yell, stop, and it stops. I just stood there for like a little bit, and then I went back to my bedroom, and I was like, what? I couldn't really react. I was in shock. And when you're in shock, you think you would like run away from the place. I mean, that would be the smart thing to do, but I didn't. I just stayed in my room in shock until it kind of started wearing off, and I just kept going about my day, started texting a few friends, and a few hours later, my niece was supposed to arrive, but she hadn't gotten home yet. And I start hearing somebody in the kitchen by the front door. And I hear like utensils, I hear drawers being closed and open. It's like, it sounds like somebody's cooking. And she is an amazing cook. So I thought she probably just got hungry as soon as she got home and started making something. So I hear all this commotion and I walk out to the kitchen. As I'm going through the hallway before I get to the kitchen, I can hear the sounds pretty clearly, and I know they're coming from the kitchen. And as soon as I cross the door to the kitchen, there's nobody there. There's no sound. Everything's silent. Drawers are closed. No smell of food. Nothing. There's nothing. And as I'm standing there in shock, my niece's keys start making noise in the door, and she opens the door and she's like, what? Those were not the only things that happened in that apartment. Many other things happened. So if you want to listen to part 2, I suggest that you subscribe, like the video. No fresh, but it helps the channel, which is baby new. So, help me out a little bit. If you want to hear more scary stories while I do hair, just follow me and I'll show you into the dark. The second part is really amazing because guess what? There's brujos involved. Brujos in South America are people that deal with the supernatural. So, needless to say, it gets way more interesting. So, I'm gonna go give her a blowout, and then I'm gonna say goodbye. Goodbye to y'all. Welcome back, and this side part is the finished result of her layers. So as you can see, the layers kind of go from shortest to longest, and I didn't want to do curls or anything so you could see kind of the layers more clearly, but I'm going to be doing more hair in the next episode when I tell you all about what happened with the brujo and how that chapter concludes. But after that, I will be giving you more videos telling you ghost stories of other people, Reddit users, even customers. I may even have customers come here and get a haircut while they tell you their experiences with the paranormal. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. And remember to not look behind you. And I'll see you next video. Goodbye. Goodbye. Look at those layers, huh? Look at those layers. Say, feel it, feel it. Oh, yes. Yes. Okay, let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Move, move, move.